President-elect Donald Trump bashing the effort to recount votes in 3 states, calling it ridiculous and a scam. That's surprising, right? Green Party candidate Jill Stein officially requesting a recount in Wisconsin on Friday and continuing to raise money for recounts in Michigan and Pennsylvania. The Hillary Clinton campaign now joining the effort. Mr. Trump firing back at the plans last night, tweeting, quote, "The Democrats, when they incorrectly thought they were going to win, asked the election night tabulation be accepted. Not so anymore." And this morning tweeting, Hillary Clinton conceded the election when she called me just prior to the victory speech, and after the results were in, nothing will change. Joining me now is Kansas Senator Jerry Moran. He is a member of the Senate Banking Committee and the Senate Appropriations Committee. Senator, thanks for joining us. When you look
Melissa.
When you look at the numbers surrounding the recount, Hillary Clinton would have to flip Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Michigan in order to turn this election around. What do you think are the odds of that?
Well, I think the odds are nearly zero. And so we're going through some efforts that seem to me to be unnecessary. Our country historically, presidential candidates, those who have lost, have rallied around those that won and brought the country together, and I think that's important at this point in our country's history. If there are legitimate allegations about any kind of cyber tampering with voting machines across the country, then in my view, an election official in one of the states is probably not the place for that consideration to be had. If there's really serious allegations, legitimate ones, then I think this is a matter for law enforcement, the FBI, or intelligence agencies. But this seems to be one of those political efforts that at raising money and stirring the political pot.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are calling to mind recounts of the past, but if you look at the actual raw numbers, in Michigan, where the person requesting it has to pay for it if they want to have a recount, he's up by 10,704 votes. Wisconsin is 22,000. Pennsylvania is 70,000. But in the issue of a recount, when it actually changes, aren't we usually talking about more like maybe a 1,000 vote margin? These are big margins, no?
Absolutely. History really probably isn't the perfect guide, other than we've had this sense in our country that elections mean results. Results means moving forward for a new president. And in these instances, nothing that is evident would suggest that the outcome of an election, this election, would be changed. And so it seems to be something less than a legitimate effort to determine the outcome of an election. And that's what a recount is about, is who really won. And in this case, that's been determined. And in fact, as has been indicated, Secretary Clinton conceded that she lost.
The Green Party came forward and said that they looked into the possibility that the results were hacked or some votes were hacked. This was an early theory we heard circulating, and they've decided that they don't have clear evidence of that, but they're still interested in a recount. And as a result, more money is pouring into her coffers. At last count, it was just under $6 million for this recount that I think she raised during the whole campaign. Is there any evidence, though, that any of that money is coming from Hillary Clinton or Hillary Clinton supporters?
Well, I don't know whether there's evidence of that or not. I've not heard that, not seen that. And if there is, I assume that will become known through media and other sources. But again, there's no evidence of hacking that I'm aware of. But again, that wouldn't be a determination to be made by an election official in one of the states. If that's a serious violation of federal law, and the allegation has been that it's been done by other countries, that's an intelligence, FBI, law enforcement issue, and it has nothing to do with the efforts to raise money on a website to do a recount in one of the states.
As usual, the hypocrisy on this has been rich all the way around. I mean, from every side, you have Jill Stein stepping out and, wanting to help the process and sort of leaning towards Hillary Clinton if she did, in fact, win the state. But in fact, if you look at her number of votes, if she had been out of the race, there are a lot of places where Hillary Clinton would have won if those voters had gone to her instead. Hillary Clinton herself criticizing Donald Trump at the third debate and on the campaign trail when she said that he hinted that he wouldn't accept the outcome of the election. I think we have a soundbite of that. Do we have that? Let's listen. Oh, Sorry, I was wrong about that. We don't have the, but you can imagine what she said. I'm sure it echoes in your head because we heard it so many times when she said, you know, can you believe it? This is sort of the first candidate in history who said they're ahead of time that they're not going to accept. I'm horrified. They're not going to accept the outcome. But hypocrisy is what you see in politics, no?
Melissa, unfortunately, I think that's true. The facts don't change, but the rhetoric changes. And I'm of the view that we have a solid election process in the United States. Yes, there are errors or flaws, but I know I have been in courthouses, in county clerk's office and election offices across my state, and there are lots of citizens involved in the process, people who come just to work the polls, who come just to count the votes. And those people, in my experience, are doing everything they can to get it right, to make sure that the votes are counted correctly. It's not about trying to steal an election. And so, in my view, Americans historically and rightfully so have accepted the results of an election. And that's where we should be today as compared to, your rhetoric changes depending on whether you're winning or losing.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that makes it tough for people who are upset with the outcome is the popular vote. And they talk about the fact that Hillary Clinton received something like 2 million more votes than Donald Trump. Do you think that there is an appetite in this country now to maybe rethink or look at the Electoral College system?
Well, we certainly have the Electoral College system created by our founders. It's in our Constitution, and that was designed for a particular purpose, to force candidates to pay attention to all states. And while there's always been concern or criticism of the Electoral College, again, we ought to make the decision about that not based upon who wins or who loses, but the value of that Electoral College. And this isn't the Electoral College debate ought to be a separate one from what happened or what people are claiming happened in this election.
All right, Senator, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
The president-elect